Dar.Ra is a music writer, producer, and author, and he's with us here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing super, super good, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great today.
It's
Now, I just want to start by talking about your album Majestic Retrospectives Volume 1.
okay.
How would you describe the style of the songs and also the kind of lyrical themes of it?
Well, the thing about the Majestic kind of retrospectives 1 and 2 is basically they are my sort of remix albums. So they're sort of a best of all my mixes from 1995 when I first kind of started. Well, actually a little bit before that, but when I was signed to EMI and Chrysalis and a few other major record labels. So I kind of picked up some of the mixes that I had the rights from 95 basically all the way to 2021. And I was doing a radio show for Vintage FM, and I'm still doing a radio show for BBS in Los Angeles as well. And it got to kind of I just had all these kind of tracks just kind of lying about, and just thought, you know what, it's time to kind of get it all together and put like a super duper ooper version together, which would have all those kind of tracks on Volume 1 and Volume 2, and boom boom shake the room. That the first one went out in I think it was the beginning of March, and then the second one we've had a few little teething problems with the distribution company, but they finally sort of like decided it was all good to go. So it's out on the 18th of June. So yeah, that's the Majestics, and it's just killer remixes basically from, as I say, from different projects I've had out over the last God knows how many years now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And why did you want to go back to your old stuff and remix it instead of coming up with new stuff?
I mean, that's a good question actually. I think, you know what, it was just good to sort of see a whole body of work all connected together. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, whether anyone would, you know, for me personally, it was a good sort of thing to just kind of cathartic. And it sort of just, it took me back to sort of places and people that I'd kind of worked with over the last 25 years. And, so it was a kind of you know, a cathartic kind of project to sort of put all that work together in 2 volumes and sort of have them remastered. And I've got this amazing dude down in Italy, young dude, who is just the most amazing master engineer, who's just put that album, those 2 albums together in an amazing way, because a lot of the tracks I gave him sort of had already sort of like been mastered, and he had a really hard task to really tie it all together. Do you know what I mean? And he's just smashed it out of the park. So, but he's also done Ballads for the Downtrodden as well as Kings and Serfs as well. So he's just been like a top soldier for me for the last kind of like three or four kind of projects. So yeah, really, really cool. It's really nice to see like young dudes coming through and really smashing it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, really cool. And I really love people where you don't have to say a great deal to. You just go, right, there it is, boom, 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 and they go off and they do it, and they come back and they. Oh, I love it. You know, over delivering, man, I think is where it's at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I suppose if they don't talk to you much, then that means things are going well.
Well, yeah, I think so. But I think it also shows an amazing amount of confidence in people's game. Do you know what I mean? That they're confident to work at a really good level and just get on with it, you know, and that's refreshing. Do you know what I'm saying? And I see that with a lot of young dudes coming through, that they're really very, very overconfident in some ways. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think sort of like when we were coming through, I think we were all a little bit kind of hung up about whether we were good or not. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I think a lot of the young dudes coming through are just like, we know we're good. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot more, but I think there's a lot more self-belief. Do you know what I'm saying? I think there's probably more support, but I think for us, we were all a bit sort of like, I don't know if I'm good enough. Do you know what I mean? So there was a lot of kind of hang-ups going on that you had to kind of smash through. But I've come through, you know, working with a lot of younger musicians and stuff, and just seeing how confident they are. They learn their chops as well real good, whereas I think, you know, for me, it was very much kind of grab a guitar and sort of work out as you go along, whereas I think a lot of these dudes have really kind of, they've got into their theory lessons and all the rest of it. So you can say play, you know, a D flat minor seventh, and they're kind of like, yeah, what if I do that with a sort of C sharp kind of ninth, fifth? And I'm like, yeah, let's try that then. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, It's good, man. It's good to see people coming through with serious confidence.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like yourself, of course.
Maybe.
Sitting there all gleaming is coming like Shout FM, as it were.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
there you go. That's a little bit of backline on those couple of projects that have come through.
Yeah. And is it easier or harder to remix old stuff? Because I suppose on the one hand you don't have to write new lyrics and things, but I guess you're still having to try to make it sound like a new and fresh song.
Yeah, I mean, I think because a lot of those remixes had already been done sort of at the time, so they weren't like I was kind of like. There are a few mixes on there that I've pulled, like Lights, Whiskey and Honey. They've all been sort of remixed, but I mean, the remixes normally come in around the time that the actual tracks are going out. So everything was kind of done and dusted. It was really just a matter of, you know, kind of getting it all together and making it sound like a whole thing, which is what, like I say, this cat from Italy called Astro, he's made that, he's really sort of pulled it all together and made it sound conducive to listening to an album from start to finish. And Volume 2, the other thing is I just kept finding loads of tracks that were just, you know, they hadn't gone out, or they'd gone out at the time and they'd just been sort of sitting about. So like, on Volume 2 there's like 25 tracks on that. Like this year alone, I've put out 50 songs out of my vault. Do you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? It's like, it's been good. It's been really kind of cathartic, and it's taken me a bit of time to do it. But I feel like if you go on my Spotify now, there's a real solid body of work there. Not that there wasn't before, but you've got like, really, it gives you a good idea of kind of what I do kind of across the genres. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. There's loads of stuff on there, and it must have taken a long time to come up with all the songs.
Yeah, again, you know, I think that I don't think I've stopped working since I kind of like got signed to sort of EMI in the 90s. I think I've just been pretty much kind of like at it, you know, whether I've been working with other people on other people's projects or whether I've been working on my own stuff. I'm just one of those people that, you know, kind of, I don't know, it's like, it doesn't really feel like work, to be fair. But I'm always at kind of my craft, you know what I'm saying? Like, even when I was living in Australia, when we first went to Australia, and you know, a lot of people go, come up to Byron Bay and just hang out and just chill. And I was working for Festival Records down in Sydney at the time. And I remember going, we drove like 12 hours north from Sydney up to Byron, which is this real amazing picturesque place. It's the furthest out on the East Coast. Is the furthest point on the East Coast, you know what I mean? And it's just, it's like San Francisco. You probably know Byron Bay. And you know, but I got a call from the label going, oh, you need to come back and sort of mix out. I think they'd got like something like Frankie Goes to Hollywood or something they wanted me to remix, do you know what I mean? And like, and literally I got a phone, sitting, you know, I think I was in the hotel or whatever, but I get this call and everybody else is out on the beach, and I've just literally been there 2 days, and then I just got straight on a bus straight back to Sydney, 12-hour journey back down to Sydney, and there I am back in the studio sort of working away. So I think I've always kind of been into sort of wanting to kind of do stuff like that and be busy kind of working. So I don't think I've stopped really. So that's why there's probably that much material kind of lurking about. I mean, there's like loads of material that I haven't even recorded, man. Do you know what I mean? There's like there's loads of songs. I've got like reams of kind of songs that haven't even gone into production. Wow. You know, and now I'm just working on a follow-up album to Ballads for the Downtrodden and New Kind of Normal, which came out in tail end of 2019. So I've got a new track that I'm just getting mixed up now called No Time for Tears, which I think is really epic. Do you know what I mean? I think that whatever you're working on at that time is always kind of like the best track you've worked on, but I really think No Time for Tears is like one of the best songs I've ever written, man. Do you know what I mean? It's really moving around kind of epically on a, like, it doesn't just do a verse chorus thing. Do you know what I mean? It really is kind of moving around arrangement wise, and I'm really into storytelling as well. So it's really telling a story for me. It's you know, so I'm really, really, really pleased with that. The drums just come in, and I've got a guy in Germany who's going to do the sort of the mix on it. So I've just literally got just mixing that out ready for him to kind of do a final mix on. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm just looking at the sort of 3 other songs to record alongside that, and that'll be another EP sort of going out for August, September, I think. Do you know what I'm saying? While I'm buzzing with sort of Majestic and these particular projects out through the summer. So yeah, always kind of doing stuff, looking for new ideas, but you know, that's what keeps you flowing, man, is kind of like being creative, right? Do you know what I'm saying? And if I'm not making music, that I'm writing a book or something, or doing something. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you first start to get interested in music in the first place then?
Music's just, I think, was there from the word go, because my mum and dad were really kind of like music. My dad was really into music. He's a writer as well, but my mum was like a musician. Her side of the family were all kind of musicians. She played piano, so I was just watching her from a really early age going, I really want to be able to do that. Do you know what I mean? So as soon as I was kind of old enough to get my hands across a piano, I was kind of like, I was on it. And then I just got into, I was into bands by sort of about the age of sort of 14, 15, sort of playing in bands. And then, then I got into a sort of like a bit of a touring band at sort of 16, 17, which was a reggae band. And we were supporting quite big acts like Steel Pulse and Misty and Roots, kind of big reggae acts from sort of Birmingham and Coventry and around that way. And then sort of like rest is kind of history. Then I just carried on sort of, I was in and out of bands kind of like throughout my teenage years. And then I got signed to Chrysalis EMI when I was like 20 something. And then, that was it really. From then on in, I was just like, that was my game. And I just sat and listened and learned. And then I've worked all around the world really, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a fun life to have, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, a lot of people would like look at you going, cracky, you've had a crazy life, because I have toured and I've been in some really crazy places and played like southern Mexico. Even when I say to Americans that I've played in sort of southern Mexico and Guatemala and places like that, or Beirut, or, like Egypt, Cairo, Bahrain, obviously Australia, a little bit kind of Thailand as well. So they're quite, I've sort of kind of crossed a few kind of avenues, do you know what I mean? And obviously sort of around Europe as well. So a lot of people would think that's quite crazy, but it's just one of them things that I kind of thought that that's what I wanted to do. As soon as, because there was like this time when I was sort of like, when I first left school and I was really into electronics, and they ended up sticking me in a factory doing soldering PCB boards, and I was like, did 2 days of that, man, and I thought that this is not for me, do you know what I mean? And I just like I said, I think I went that week, I went for an audition with that particular band, and that was it. I was like, got a job with them, and I was on the road from then on in, because I just thought, with soldering PCB boards or playing in a band, there's just no sort of there's no competition there for me, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of your songs, Haunted Dancehall, was played on Radio Cambridge, actually. Was that quite exciting to have your song played on this well-known radio station?
Well, it's BBC Radio Cambridge. I think, I mean, I've had stuff played on Radio 1 as well, and I've had stuff played across America, kind of like on pretty big stations as well. So I think it's always good when you get stuff played on the radio. I've got like a lovely lady who's a really good friend now called Leslie John Ben from Liverpool, who is a star of kind of many radio stations around Liverpool. And every time she plays one of my songs, I'm just totally stoked. Do you know what I mean? There's another guy called James Horrocks, I think, from Phonic FM, is another dude. Just kind of like, there's loads of dudes that kind of like yourself, independent radio kind of dudes that are supporting independent artists now, because I'm not with a major anymore. And I think, as I say, anytime you get anyone playing anything, it's a real buzz. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'll be buzzed when I hear some what you guys are doing. Do you know what I mean? And if what tracks you play off my albums on your station. So it's always good, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And you've written some books as well, right?
Yeah. 2 books. I haven't, because I'm in the studio right now, so I haven't got them on me. But 2 books. One's called Road Tales, about being on a road, meeting amazing people who had some incredible stories to tell. From Aboriginal kind of guys who were part of the Stolen Generation, to Guatemalan freedom fighters, to artists who have made people talk again through using art. Wow. Just incredible people, really, that I was meeting while I was out and about. And I think that it was just a period of time where these people were coming into my life, and I just was listening to their life stories and just thinking, wow, they'd make really good inspirational tales for people. So when I got back to England, I just thought I had 15 chapters, you know, and I just put it together after I think I'd finished a music project, and then I just thought, you know what, I've got, because you know a lot of people go, I'm writing a book, and they never get around to doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? You'll find so many people that go, oh yeah, I'm writing a book, and you meet them 10 years later, and you're like, how's that book? And you're like, I'm still writing it. So I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna nail this book, and so I did it, and I put it together. And as I say, it's a little book of inspiration for people who, if they're going through hard times, they can sort of see, you know, other people are going through, you know, pretty tough times that have actually kind of got through it and come out the other side and done amazing miracle kind of things with their lives. Do you know what I mean? And then there's The Night That Jimmy Died, which is about a girl I know who was born on the same night as when Jimi Hendrix passed away in Knightsbridge Infirmary. And it's just a story about her being, you know, it was an idea of what if their souls kind of crossed over and she becomes like this amazing guitarist that sort of saves the world from mediocre music. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good idea.
She blows all the pop idol people off the map kind of thing with this incredible virtuoso guitar kind of vibe. But she's like the Wizard of Oz. She sort of pulls back the curtains on the rock and roll, on the music industry, and sort of shows people kind of what it is for what it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so yeah, she's a sort of she blows the illusions away. That's her job, and she does it really, really well. So yeah, that's the sort of second book, which is more obviously more fictional, but there's some great scenes in that. I think it would make an amazing film. So if there's any major film production companies out there, let me know, because you can buy the rights.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess for a lot of people, writing a book is quite a daunting task, because even if they have a good idea, they don't know the exact words they're going to put for hundreds of pages and how they're going to flesh it out and keep it interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's the art of being a good writer, isn't it? Really, that, you know, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think I'm, you know, I love telling stories. And I certainly know, you know, how hard it is to write good books, but, you know, the genius kind of writers who can map books out in their head so they've got that storyline kind of flowing through, you know, it takes a certain type of mind to be able to really, you know, like your J.K. Rowling's, I mean, she's incredible. That's an incredible, regardless of what people are saying about her, she's an incredible writer, and she's being able to utilize kind of like esoteric knowledge and but then create this character, you know, which for a while was just absolutely, there was no one touching that Harry Potter thing. Not that I wasn't into it, but when you look at it and you see how she did it and how she does it and how she cranks these books out, and they're all incredible, you know, sort of stories with her mind is just like out there, dude. You know what I mean? So that's a special type of writer. And I think it just takes a special kind of mind to be like that.
Yeah.
I'm more into kind of the musical side of things, really. Although I like writing, I think it's a really good. There's nothing kind of more amazing than sitting down for months on end and just losing. Because it's like reading. Like if you read books, you know what I mean? Like you will fall into a sort of a book, and suddenly you're transported into a whole different paradigm and a whole different world. And every time you pick that book, it's like the kind of the cupboard in Narnia. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like when you read a book, you're going through that cupboard into a whole new world. It's much cooler in some ways than actually kind of like watching movies, because the movies kind of starve your mind of being able to visualize. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when you're reading a book, you're like your whole visual perception is like, do you know what I'm saying? It's just the wheels are turning. So, as I say, the art of writing a good book and taking you on a journey, like Tolkien with Lord of Rings. I mean, like, you know, when people first read Tolkien, they must have been just going, where is this guy's head at? Do you know what I mean? Because it was just so out there. Do you know what I mean? For the time, you know.
Yeah, and your imagination always comes up with a better image than what any filmmaker or theatre designer could come up with.
Exactly. I mean, I think, you know, I hope that the sort of like the actual sort of practice of picking up books and reading books never really kind of ever goes and leaves, because it is just it's an amazing thing to pick up a book of such and just plow into it, right? Like the Kindles are all good, but there's just it's just like there's something of a real physical relationship between you and the book. Do you know what I mean? And you know. So, but the audiobooks are pretty darn cool as well. I've been getting into a few audiobooks recently, so they can take you on a journey, particularly if you've got a good narrator as well. So, yeah.
Some people,
I can imagine you doing a good audiobooks. You've got that lovely little lilting kind of Scottish accent there. So I think you'd vibe people up.
Yeah.
You know?
Some people try and claim that if you listen to audiobooks, it doesn't count as actually reading the book and it's cheating. Do you agree with that?
I don't think so. I think that it depends. I mean, if you're driving a car across America, it's difficult to pick a book up, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? But if you've got the audiobook in there, you know, you've got that person sort of, you know, and I just listened to an audiobook and I was so into it, I couldn't. Do you know what I mean? Like I was getting up, like literally, sort of first thing in the morning. I'd have my phone, and I'd go in and I'd be sort of making breakfast, and I'd have that audiobook on straight off the bat. And every time I was working, like I'd be like, do you know what I mean? I was doing, actually, funny enough, I was doing Volume 2 Majestic Retrospectives, and I'd be mastering sort of like the track, and I'd still have the audiobook going, like. And I'd pause it, and then I'd be listening to that, and then I'd be listening to, because I was so into it. Do you know what I mean? And it took me about 5 days to get through this audiobook. I think it was like 10 hours worth of audio vibe. But yeah, so I think it's horses for courses. But you know, it's great. I think reading is really important. For people's minds.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a good thing. It makes you know more words as well. Not necessarily how to say them rightly, but you can find out.
I think, you know what, we're talking about that sort of the mind's eye, you know, and being able to visualize. And I think visualization is so important because, you know, visualization is what your creative eye is doing. Now, whether you use that to write something new or make music or make films or design kind of like trainers or whatever you do with your creative kind of angle, that's one of our most powerful kind of things that we have available to us is our power of visualization, because that's our law of attraction as well. So if you're visualizing things, you're creating that magnetics to bring things into your world. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
The more you can visualize your future, like for instance, your show, you know, you want it to be listened to by 3 million people by, you know, do you know what I'm saying? And you've got that. So you start visualizing, you know, that amount of people. Well, obviously, that kind of stat coming through, and the more you're kind of using that vibe, the more magnetic you are bringing that into your kind of your space. Don't ask me how it works, but that's how it kind of works. It's visualization, affirmations, and sort of, you know, and planning, which makes dreams come true.
Yeah. And where do you visualize yourself in the future? Have you got any more books or songs that you're hoping to release?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always kind of visualizing things, and I think that, you know, I will just carry on making the best records I possibly can with amazing films to go alongside it, because that's kind of what keeps me cooking. So, you know, even with, you know, No Time for Tears, it's like I've just actually finished an animation film for a track called Sweet As, which is you've got to just check it out, because it's an amazing bit of this amazing girl did this incredible animated film, just worked from my brief. You know, it was originally written, Sweet As was originally written for a film about the Pearly Kings and Queens of London, but the film never went out. So I had this track again, sort of sitting on a drive, not really doing anything, and I had it remastered for Kings and Serfs. And then I just had this visual of having an animation, and again visualize the storyboard, and it's come to life. And it's a story of a poor guy who gets he's walking by the River Thames, and he finds a bit of gold. And he picks this piece of gold up, and he makes this suit out of this gold. And as soon as he picks this piece up, this gold, his life just becomes magical, and he's just, again, manifesting stuff. And it's a really cute video, man, and I think it's really uplifting as well. Do you know what I mean? So I was really, really pleased with it. It's me doing a little bit of a Cockney routine. So it's a bit like, you know, it's a bit sort of Stevie Marriott, Small Faces, Lazy Sunday Afternoon kind of idea, but it just really works. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then obviously No Time for Tears, like now I'm back onto something new, and I'm going, should I do animated? Should I maybe get some actors in? How much? You know what I mean? And it just becomes more. It's just exciting to kind of think, what am I going to create? I think that's the core of it. It's like that's how I've kind of lived my life. It's like, you know, what can I create next? What can I make? What can I do? And it doesn't really matter, to be fair, whether it doesn't get a massive audience. It's the fact that it's the journey. That's the other thing. Do you know what I'm saying? It's the journey of like for instance, like now I'm looking, right, I've got like a load of new songs So I'll be looking at kind of like what one's going to kind of work and how do I see that going. And it becomes, that's the journey. It starts as a micro kind of like idea, and then it expands into what it becomes, which is like, hopefully sort of like an epic piece of work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And where did you get that cool jacket that you're wearing?
Camden town. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's an older one, but I can't remember what boutique it was, but it was kind of where Dingwalls is, just down from there. There was the boutique and stuff, and I used to really love Camden because it's got a lot of cool shops and stuff down there. So Camden, and Camden was like amazing space for sort of like a lot of music. Amy Winehouse and Blur and all that. You lot used to hang out there and stuff. So it's a good place. I haven't been there for a little while actually, but Camden's cool, man. Do you get down to London much yourself?
I've been a few times, but not in a few years, and I don't know when I'll be back. I guess it's probably not too safe to be hanging around on the tube at the moment and stuff.
Yeah, we're in a different time, but let's hope we can sort of start getting a semblance of normality coming back. I see Glastonbury's going to sort of like have a kind of virtual thing happening there and stuff. So that'll give a little bit of a light to, maybe next year that will come, Glastonbury back and the festival's back, and people just, we need to get people smiling again, man. Do you know what I mean? That's what this is all about. Smile. We need to smile. That's the core end. I mean, I've done it today. I've done a workshop in a dementia care home.
Wow.
And I do that as a sort of regular, it's like music workshop therapy. And I go down there and they're kind of a little bit unaware of kind of what's going on, do you know what I'm saying? But they really get into the music, and it reminds them of kind of where they were when they were kind of like, they had their life was where it was, do you know what I'm saying? And I use a lot of kind of classic rock and roll kind of tunes and tunes before that, just classic kind of music that I know would have been on the radio when they were kind of growing up, when they were teenagers or whatever. Yeah. But it's, it's amazing when you leave there and everybody's like smiling and they've been just having the greatest time, and that's the power of kind of music. It brings people of all ages together, you know what I mean? And that's, to put a smile on people's faces is really kind of where I think that's what this is all about, surely. Yeah. Making people kind of happy and leaving people with with just a feeling of well-being, you know what I mean? That's why I kind of do it.
For sure. Well, where are we able to check out all your music and your books and keep up to date with you everywhere?
So you can check me out. If you just put a search in for DarRa, that's Dar.Ra, or Kusha Deep is my record label, Kusha Deep Music, then the Google searches will come up and you'll be able to sort of get hold of all that vibe, and on Spotify as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show today. It's been great to have you here.
Awesome. It's been fun, mate, and wishing you guys all the best, and all the Shout listeners all the best as well. And hopefully we'll see you again. We'll see you sometime soon. Do you know what I mean? When all this is done and dusted. Do you know what I mean? So thanks a lot, and everyone stay safe. Yeah.